Hello friends, welcome to the Wise Book Voice. Today, we're going to talk about How to Be Disciplined by Sheldon Howe. It was a cold winter evening. James, who lived alone in a small flat in New York, was frustrated with his life. His job was just okay, but deep down, he felt like he wasn't achieving anything significant. He often wondered, what do I really want? One night, as he lay in bed scrolling through his phone, his eyes fell on a book review. The book was titled How to Be Disciplined, and the author was Sheldon Howe. What a useless topic, he thought to himself. But somewhere inside, he felt that maybe this was the book he needed. He immediately ordered it online. 3 days later, the book was in his hands. Let's see why this book is so popular, James thought. He took the book to his balcony. The cold breeze was blowing, and a cup of tea sat on his table. He opened the book and began reading the first chapter, Set Clear Goals. As he read, it felt like someone was holding up a mirror to him. The book said, "Setting clear and achievable goals is the foundation of discipline. Goals provide direction and motivation, making it easier to stay focused and measure progress." James couldn't understand why such a simple concept had eluded him for so long. He often dreamed big, one day, I'll start my own company or I'll become an expert in digital marketing, but he never planned his goals in detail. He glanced at the next paragraph. If you don't know where you're going, you'll never get there. That line hit him hard. That's so true, he thought. I always think about doing something, but I don't even know what that something is. He closed the book, walked inside, and chose the quietest corner of his room. He took out his notebook and decided that for the first time in his life, he would set clear goals. He wrote, "Focus on fitness, lose 10 kilograms in the next 6 months. Complete 3 advanced digital marketing courses. Read 5 new books every month." After writing, he closed the notebook and felt a strange sense of relief. This won't be easy, but for the first time, I've written my goals so clearly. The next morning, he tried to start his first goal. He had set the alarm for 6 a.m., but when it rang, he immediately hit snooze. Just 5 more minutes, he told himself. Those 5 minutes turned into an hour without him realizing it. When he finally opened his eyes, the clock showed 7:30. "Ugh, I failed again," he said angrily. Then he remembered the book. He took it out and reread the first page. One line stood out. "Failure is part of the process. Don't be discouraged by small setbacks. Focus on getting back on track." He smiled and said to himself, "Well, the book already warned me. No problem, I'll do better tomorrow." That evening, he did something else. He put up a big chart on his room's wall and wrote down his goals. Next to them, he made small check boxes. Every time he completed a task, he would tick a box. Slowly, over the next few days, he started developing the habit of waking up early. For the first time, he went jogging in the park. The cold breeze and the sight of other runners made him realize he had to take his life seriously. When he got back, he read the next part of the book. Break your goals into smaller, manageable steps. A big goal can feel overwhelming. He thought about it and divided his fitness goal into smaller tasks. First week, jog for just 15 minutes. Second week, 20 minutes. Gradually increased to 30 minutes. The first chapter of the book became his life's guide. He read it repeatedly and tried to apply it to his life. But life isn't that easy. One day, his mother called and said, "You haven't called in 2 weeks. We're so worried." James suddenly realized he had been so lost in his goals that he had stopped talking to his family. He immediately called her back and listened carefully. He thought, setting clear goals isn't just about career and fitness, it's also about balancing relationships. He took out his notebook and added another line. 4. Call my parents every week and spend time with them. And so, James's life slowly began to change. Every night before sleeping, he reviewed his day. If he missed a task, he added it to the next day's list. The first chapter had taught him that goals aren't just for writing, they're for living. He realized that goals had given his life direction. But the story doesn't end here. James understood that this was just the beginning. The first chapter of Sheldon Howe's book was just a glimpse. He still had to read and work on the rest. If you liked our free summary, you can subscribe to our channel, buy our membership, or support us via UPI. Now, back to the summary. James smiled and said, "Now, let's see how this book changes my life." Over the next few days, he made significant progress on his first goals. He felt his life was slowly getting on track. Many boxes on his wall chart were ticked, and each tick gave him new energy. He thought it was time to read the next chapter. After dinner, he sat in a small corner of his flat with the book in front of him. He removed the cloth bookmark and turned the page. The second lesson was, develop a routine. As soon as he read it, he realized this was his biggest weakness. His life was so disorganized. Sometimes he stayed up late, sometimes woke up late, and weekends just passed by without any plan. The book said, creating a consistent daily routine helps build habits that reinforce discipline. A structured schedule minimizes distractions and promotes productivity by allocating specific times for tasks. James read every word carefully. He realized that if he truly wanted discipline in his life, he had to adopt a strict routine. Having a routine doesn't mean life becomes boring, he told himself. It means I'll learn to use my time wisely. He immediately took out his notebook and wrote, "My perfect routine. Wake up at 6 a.m. Exercise from 6:15 to 7 a.m. Breakfast by 7:30. Work from 8 a.m. to 12 p.m. 1 hour lunch break. Work again from 1 p.m. to 5 p.m. 1 hour in the evening for myself, reading, learning skills, or reflection. Sleep by 10 p.m. Planning the routine was easy, but following it? James knew that was the hardest part. Let's try starting tomorrow. The next morning, when his alarm rang at 6 a.m., he felt the same urge to hit snooze. But then he remembered, he couldn't go back to his old habits. He turned off the alarm and got out of bed. He set a timer on his phone and started exercising as per his routine. At first, his body resisted. Every minute, he felt like going back to sleep. But he recalled a line from the book. Habits are hard to build initially, but consistency makes them easier over time. The first few days were a struggle. Sometimes, while having breakfast, he wondered if making a routine was the right decision. But as days passed, he began enjoying it. The biggest impact was on his productivity. Now, when he sat down to work, he was fully focused. He knew he had allocated time for everything, so he could manage his tasks efficiently. One day at work, his manager said, "James, the work you've done in the past week is incredible. Are you okay?" James smiled and said, "Just getting a little disciplined, sir." That evening, he realized that a routine wasn't just about managing time, it was a way to improve life. He started reading new books in his FRE. Over the next few days, he made his routine more flexible. He added free time slots where he could do anything, talk to family, hang out with friends, or just relax. The book had another interesting line. A routine can sometimes feel like a burden. Allow some flexibility for unexpected events. He realized that the routine had made him a better person. His life now had structure. Where he once procrastinated, he now completed tasks on time. But the story doesn't end here. James realized that creating a routine was just the start, he still had to deepen his habits. There were more lessons in the book. He promised himself he would read, understand, and apply every lesson to his life. With that hope, he gently closed the book and moved on to the next chapter. Part 2, The Power of Self-Control. A few weeks passed, and James had settled into his routine. Waking up early, working out, and being productive had become habits. But life doesn't always go smoothly. One evening, exhausted after work, he thought, I'll just relax for a bit. He turned on the TV and ended up wasting 3 hours binge-watching a show. When he finally glanced at his wall chart, he felt a pang of guilt. Everything was going so well, and now I've fallen back into old habits. That night, he picked up the book again and turned to the next chapter, Embrace Self-Control. The first line hit him hard. Self-control is essential to resist temptations. Resisting short-term pleasures in favor of long-term goals is the foundation of disciplined living. That's exactly my problem, James thought. I always chase short-term pleasures, whether it's endless scrolling on social media or avoiding tasks that matter. The book continued. Distractions are everywhere, often disguised as harmless breaks. But every small temptation adds up and derails your progress. James decided then and there, he would master self-control. Step 1: Identifying distractions. His biggest weakness? His phone. He deleted unnecessary apps. Set screen time limits. Allowed himself only 15 minutes a day for social media. The first day was torture. His fingers itched to check notifications. But he resisted. Step 2: Saying no to temptations. A bigger test came when his friends invited him to a party on a Saturday night. He knew if he went, he'd stay out late, skip his morning workout, and ruin his schedule. The book's advice echoed in his mind. Every time you resist a temptation, you take a step closer to becoming the person you want to be. He declined politely, explaining he was working on self-improvement. The next morning, when he woke up fresh and followed his routine, he felt proud. Step 3: Small wins matter. Self-control wasn't just about big decisions, it was in daily habits too. He stopped his post-lunch dessert habit. Avoided impulsive online shopping. Stuck to his reading schedule even when tired. The book reminded him. The key to self-control is reminding yourself of your bigger goals whenever temptation arises. He wrote his long-term goals on sticky notes and placed them where he'd see them daily. The real test: a work challenge. At the office, a high-pressure project landed on his desk. Earlier, he would have panicked or procrastinated. But now, he controlled his stress, broke tasks into steps, and delivered on time. His manager praised him. "James, your discipline is impressive." James smiled. He was no longer a slave to impulses. Part 3: Mindfulness, the game changer. Despite progress, James noticed his mind still wandered, past regrets, future anxieties, distractions. The next chapter had the answer: practice mindfulness. The book defined it as being fully present in the moment. It sharpens focus, reduces stress, and improves decision-making. How he applied it. Morning meditation, started with 10 minutes of focused breathing. Single tasking, stopped multitasking. Gave 100% attention to one task at a time. Emotional control, when stressed, he paused, took deep breaths, and recentered. The results? At work, handled a crisis calmly while colleagues panicked. Relationships, listened actively when his mom talked, instead of just saying, Inner peace, fewer anxiety spirals. The book's wisdom stuck with him. The present moment is the only place where life truly exists. Learn to live in it. Final lesson: consistency is king. The last chapter's title said it all: never stop showing up. Key takeaways. Motivation starts the journey, but consistency keeps you going. Small daily actions compound into massive results. Discipline isn't about perfection, it's about bouncing back after setbacks. James's life transformed. He lost 12 kilograms, not just 10. Got promoted for his reliability. Rebuilt strong family bonds. The book's final line stayed with him. Discipline isn't the goal, it's the journey. Keep going, and success becomes a habit, not a destination. Epilogue, a new beginning. James closed the book, gazing at the moonlight. His old self, the procrastinator, the self-doubter, was gone. He whispered, "This isn't the end. It's day one of the rest of my life." Moral of the story. Discipline isn't about rigid rules. It's about goals, routine, self-control, mindfulness, consistency. Master these, and you master life. What's next? If you enjoyed this summary, subscribe for more book summaries. Try one small disciplined habit today. Remember, change happens one step at a time. Your turn. What's your first step toward discipline?